Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Beth Chats Books. Now today's video is going to be part 1 of my February book haul. Now I'm planning to do 3 parts to this February book haul because I acquired a lot of books in the month of February because I did a big book depository haul spree where I bought quite a lot of books. And then I have a few books that I acquired when I went to Stratford-upon-Avon with my boyfriend this weekend, and I got sent a few books from my family. So I'm going to talk about them in the other book haul. And I also have some books from Book Depository which I haven't officially opened yet. So my third part of the book haul is going to be a bit of an unboxing for you guys. But before I get on to part 1 of the book haul, I just want to mention, as you can tell, my background is different, and that's because today my sister is at home, so she's working in the living room, so I can't get access to that, and I tried in my bedroom and the lighting is all wrong and it looks hideous. So I'm in my brother's room because he has quite a lot of natural light, because he has a window around here that lets in a lot of light. So if you see that there's a North End kind of calendar and scarf and a big map, that's because I'm in my brother's room and he is a big Preston North End fan. So apologies for all that stuff, it's not mine, but there's a lot of natural light in here, so it looks like a great place to film today. And also, if you notice on part 2 and 3, I will also have the same background because I'm bulk filming them all now today while I have a bit of time. So I'm just going to get straight on with part 1 of the book haul. So the first book I want to show you is Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. Probably butchered that, as always. Now, I mentioned in my classics that I want to read video, which I'll link down below, I mentioned this book that I had in a beautiful penguin cloth bound classics edition in hardback. And I originally wasn't going to buy a paperback version, but when I went on the Book Depository website, this was selling for pretty cheap, in quite a pretty edition for a paperback. There was much prettier, but I wasn't going to pay over £7 for a paperback edition of a book I already have. I realised as I went through that classics list that a lot of those books I really want to read, but I don't really enjoy reading hardback as much, especially gorgeous editions of hardbacks, because I don't want to damage them. Whereas this is quite a floppy paperback, which I don't really feel that bad about crumpling and damaging and really getting into. So I bought it because I want to get to this book sooner rather than later. So there's that one. And then the next book I want to talk about is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. This is a book that I have really wanted to read for ages. I saw that Jen over at Jen Campbell did a podcast about this book. I heard that this book was really raved about maybe about a year or so ago on BookTube. It's not really as well mentioned nowadays, so I kind of missed the hype, but considering I've only just joined BookTube, a lot of the books that were mentioned last year when I was an avid watcher of BookTube are still on my radar. This was pretty cheap on Book Depository, so I got it. I don't know that much about it. I know that it's been translated. It's been translated from the Korean by Deborah Smith. I don't know very much about the plot at all. It seems like an incredibly short book, which I didn't realise when I purchased it, but that's great because I can get probably through this in one sitting on a day off. I'm really intrigued by it. I haven't read many translated works before, but I really want to get into reading more translated works. So I think this is a great place to start. I don't really have much to tell you about the plot, but I'll link some information down below about people who have read it, like Jen Campbell and other people who did reviews on it if you want a little bit more. But I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I'll probably talk about it more when I eventually put it on a TBR in the next couple of months. So there's that one. And then the next book I want to talk about is everywhere on BookTube. Still, it's such a popular book, and that is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ning. But this has been raved about recently. I've been watching a lot of new channels on my subscription feed that have been talking about this, and it was on BookTube and blew up about 6 months to a year ago as well. It was really highly acclaimed then. Apparently it's an incredible thriller, and every time someone talks about the premise of this, it still really interests me. So I think this is about a girl who's found dead, and we're kind of figuring out what happened. And there's like a lot of themes of the lake and summer house vibes. Not many people have given away too much about the plot, which is really good because this seems like a book that you want to go into blind. I think the cover is just beautiful. So I'm sure that most of you have heard about the premise and the plot of this. If not, I'll also link some information down below. But at the moment, I'm not going to give too much away. One, because I don't know too much about any of these books, but second of all, because I kind of want to go into these books pretty blind, because this one seems like it's got lots of twists and turns. And again, I'll discuss them all more when they eventually go on TBRs. I just wanted to make sure that I hold them for everyone. So there's that one. And then the next one I've got is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Calathini. I have been really loving Jasmine Reed's channel, and the next couple of books have purely come on my radar because of Jasmine. She gave an incredible Best Books of 2017 video, and this was on there. I was always fascinated by this book. Every time I went into Waterstones I always picked it up and then I thought, well, I haven't heard loads of people rave about it, I haven't seen it majorly on BookTube, I'm not sure. It's about a surgeon, a neurosurgeon, and it's kind of like a memoir of his experience, and that's fascinating to me because it seems like a story I could really get my teeth into, about the ups and downs of being a neurosurgeon, which I find fascinating because I am not very good at the sciences, but I've always been fascinated by it, by how people perform surgery, how people work for the NHS and all the different medical aspects and how that takes a toll on the human condition of that person. So I've been fascinated by people's memoirs that work in these fields because I applaud their efforts, and I'm also intrigued to know how they cope and compartmentalise part of their life. So I think this is absolutely fascinating. I'm really excited to get to it, and since Jasmine raved about it, it instantly went into my basket on Book Depository because I was like, if she likes this, then I'm going to like this, because recently when I've been watching her videos, we seem to like a lot of similar style books, so when she raved about it, I finally plucked up the courage to pick it up. So there's that one. Also, I apologise if this video is very shaky. I've noticed every time I kind of move and pick up a book, it's kind of wobbling, but it's very precariously balanced on my brother's bed right now, and I don't want to mess it up, so I'm really sorry if it's a little bit wobbly. I've only got 2 more books, so we're getting there. And then the next one I want to talk about is Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. Now this one was highly raved about very recently because it's been on one of the shortlists. Yeah, Man Booker. Yeah, so it's been shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize very recently and it just missed out. I think Ali Smith's Autumn was also on there. A lot of people said that this is a really, really interesting book, and I'm surprised how short it is in the paperback edition because I kept looking at a lot of images of it in the hardback and it looked like quite a chunky book, so I'm very surprised it's actually quite short. Basically, I've seen so many people hauling this, getting this, raving about this, but not really anything about the plot, which is awful because it kind of is starting to show you guys that I buy things that sound interesting, that people rave about, without necessarily doing my research, which is awful. But when I do haul this one, I will have much more to say, but please comment down below if you know where it's set, anything about the premise to help me, because I just kind of spontaneously wanted to haul these books as soon as I got them, and I didn't bother really to find out much, and a lot of the synopsises of the actual books are very vague. I have just tried to read the synopsis, but it didn't really tell me much, so there is Exit West. There we are. And then the last book that I want to talk about is another one that Jasmine Reed's raved about in her favourite books of 2017, and that is Tin Man by Sarah Winman. I also saw that this was raved about on Simon of Savage Reads' channel about a year ago, and he said it was phenomenal. I think Lauren over at Lauren in the Books also raved about this book, but it is an absolutely beautiful feeling hardback, and it's also not a very big in your face hardback. You know, sometimes they are massive, but this is quite compact and fabulous. It's about 2 boys, it says Ellis and Michael. They were inseparable, it says here, and then Annie walks into their lives and it changes nothing and everything. So it seems to me like the back is very vague. Maybe this is another book you want to go into blind. If Jasmine is watching this, I'm really sorry. I did watch your video, but I've forgotten what it's about, so if anybody wants to comment down below with a kind of short, snappy synopsis of what it's about without any spoilers, that would be great. But again, everything that Jasmine loves, I automatically think, great, I'm going to put that on my next basket purchase. So it was already on my basket purchase list when I got round to Book Depository, so I bought it because I want to read it because she thinks it's great, so I hope I'm going to think it's great. So I bought it. So that is all the books that I want to talk about in part 1. I'm trying to keep all the book hauls kind of short and snappy so that it's not getting to the point where you're bored to tears of so many books. I'm really sorry I couldn't give better synopsises of those books, but I was just in a mad excited rush to show you what I've got recently without checking about the synopsises of the actual plots. But just let me know how you feel about these books, whether you've read them, whether you want to read them, whether you know any more information about any of them that you could comment down below. I would really appreciate that. And also please hit the subscribe button if you want to be alerted for when part 2 and 3 of my February book hauls are coming out and all my future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye!